Hey everyone, welcome back to Like a Boss. And like always, we've got a fabulous guest in the house here today. Well, not really in the house because, it's that whole COVID thing. So we're not exactly in the same room, but she is here on Zoom with me. We've got Mary D'Onofrio. She's the vice president at Bessemer Venture Partners, which is arguably one of the oldest venture capital firms around. Where it makes her special and her expertise is that she's got phenomenal understanding of what's going on in the cloud and digital transformation marketplace. And Mary doesn't just write checks for small growth companies. She's in the 30, 40, $50 million range for companies that are experiencing very high growth and at advanced stages of maturity. So with that, let's have a big welcome for Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, we're always excited. Everybody's always curious about the whole investor play and how they, as startup founders, can move forward and move along that journey to try to raise funds. So let's begin with Bessemer Venture Partners. Tell us a little bit about the companies that are in the portfolio and kind of where that focus is now in and around cloud.
Sure. So Bessemer, as you mentioned, is one of the oldest venture capital funds. It was started about 100 years ago as part of Bessemer Trust, and in the 80s split out as an independent VC firm. Now we have $6 billion under management, and we have offices around the world, from the Bay to New York to Israel, and soon London as well. There are about 200 companies in the Bessemer portfolio. I've personally invested in 20 and sit on 6 boards, including Hyperscience, Big ID, Get Insured, Reputation, Tile, and then one that's unannounced. But then specifically applicable to the cloud question, we have the largest cloud portfolio as well. I think we've made 150 cloud investments to date, many of which have exited, 50 or so in the form of M&A exit, and about 25 IPOs. So pretty deep portfolio across not just cloud, but also other subsectors of technology and healthcare for that matter.
Let's just talk about those board appointments for one moment. So something pricked my ears. You've got 6 board appointments. Just, in a few words, tell us what that experience is like.
It's fantastic. Venture is a lot about, making investment decisions and putting capital to work, but then thereafter, the longer term engagement isn't the deal that might take, a week or a month to consummate. It's really the board relationship, which can last, at the early stage for over 10 years, and at my stage, probably closer to 5 years. It's a wonderful opportunity to help the company support them as they're making decisions, from hiring to product roadmap to international expansion, segment expansion. And, obviously, given the various focuses of these different companies, Hyperscience is in automation, Big ID is in data privacy and data infrastructure, Get Insured is in healthcare. It's a lot of different exposure and different challenges company by company, but it's probably the most rewarding part of the job as a whole.
Now, through all of the investments that you do make and the board appointments, you get to talk to a lot of founders. Is there any one thing that you could say they all have in common?
I just say grit and dedication to their goals and passion for what they're building. More so than anything, that's the commonality that I see, especially for successful founders. Other than that, founders come from all different demographics, all different perspectives, and all different geographies for that matter. I just think that it's really more of the grit and the dedication to what they're building that they have in common.
Now, at your stage and level of funding, the stakes are very high. So can you tell us what makes a pitch great versus not so great?
Sure. I think that most pitches will outline things like TAM, team, product, and financials, at least at a basic level. But a great pitch will answer the questions of why now? Like, why is this the right moment for your product? What market dislocation are you taking advantage of? And secondly, they will answer why this product, team, go-to-market strategy, or whatever their wedge is, will be the one to win. I think that that's kind of the next layer deeper that investors are asking themselves as they're figuring out what company within a market or something to invest in. And if you can help them to understand that, pitch yourself that way, those pitches tend to be the ones that stand out the most.
You've got a lot of experience and a tremendous track record. Can you share what makes you a good investor?
Sure. I think, obviously, hard work to some extent helps to create luck, but I do think that good investing and as an investor, you make money when you're contrarian in your opinions, but you're right. I think at least what I try to do is be contrarian when I have conviction around a market, team, or product, and really invest behind the thesis that I've researched and diligenced and formed.
Maybe that's a good segue for another question I have for you. And that's, what's your investor's edge?
Investor's edge. Sure. So I'm willing to learn a tremendous amount about markets and individual companies before investing in them, which allows me to play back to management teams, not only their strengths, but also their weaknesses and how I can help to plug them. And I think that, especially at the growth stage, that's really what companies need more than anything, because they do have product market fit. They do have early signs of go-to-market efficiency, but figuring out how to take them from, call it 10 million of ARR to 100, sometimes that means identifying and helping to plug blind spots.
Let's talk about that a little bit more with respect to the founder's potential for success, because obviously your investment is contingent on that and what you'll make back on it. It sounds like it goes well beyond motivation, ambition, passion. You're really looking for a number of things from founders to deliver beyond grit. Can you share a few more words about that?
Yeah, sure. So I do think that you're right. Like, a founder needs to be intrinsically motivated about solving a particular problem in order to build a company around it. And I think that going a level deeper, I find that the most effective founders generally have personal empathy with the problem that they're trying to solve. For instance, one of my portfolio companies called Launch Darkly was founded by the CEO, Edith Harbach, and the CTO, John Cottamal. And they founded the feature management company after having issues with poor software releases in their previous companies. They understood the problem that they're trying to solve, and since they had the problem themselves, and so they're really able to build the product that they wish they had and really understand the customer voice and what customers are looking for.
By this age and stage, we've all had, more than a few hardships in our rearview mirror. So I'm going to ask you, what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do, Mary?
The hardest thing I've ever had to do. I'll give you the professional answer. I had a week last month when I was selling one of my portfolio companies on the same day that I signed a term sheet for another. And so both M&A processes and winning deals are stressful and high priority milestones. So it was a lot of context switching and definitely difficult to navigate both situations at the same time. At least that's the answer, I think, in my personal career.
Do you want to give us the personal answer? Are you going to pass?
I guess that, the personal answer is just more figuring out what I wanted to do, getting myself to the point that I am at right now. But I don't think that there's one specific obstacle that was overcome. It's more just a series of decisions that I needed to make that led me here today.
So in those bad days, what do you think gives you the strength to keep going?
Oh, that's definitely a personal answer. It's my mother. She taught me to be resilient and to keep trying until I can try no more, such that even when I do fail, it's not for lack of effort. And those are the kinds of failures that I can accept for sure.
Oh, there you go. Resilience is so key, especially now in this era that we live in. Everything's so challenging. Good for you. That's exactly good mom advice.
Thank you.
What do you think holds founders back from being wildly successful? Is it money? Is it something else?
Oftentimes it comes down to picking the wrong market, honestly. The best founders will still have tough luck in bad markets. And, sometimes, less impressive management teams can have good luck in good markets. Another common pitfall, though, that I see constantly is bad hiring. It is truly devastating what an early bad hire can do for a company, whether that's a senior product role or a senior go-to-market role. It has consequences that candidly can last for years.
Now, thinking about lessons learned, given that you sit in front of so many different founders, what advice do you want to give them with respect to their preparation for an investor meeting with someone like yourself?
Sure. I think it kind of ties together with my previous answer, but clearly articulating what their company does, how it's different from competition, why its market is large and compelling, and why they are the team to prosecute against the opportunity. Later stage, this should also come with an articulation of financial metrics to date and description of how far incremental capital would get the company. Other than that, I'd say just having an idea of who the investor is and what they care about is helpful too. So, for example, if you're a fintech company meeting with a fintech VC, go into the conversation leaning on the tech and the competitive differentiation. But if you're a fintech company meeting with a generalist, maybe start with the market and a bit more about investor education before launching into the competitive landscape. I think just tailoring the pitch a little bit for the person you're meeting is always helpful.
All right. What's your best tip for the next generation of women in tech?
I'd say just bet on yourself. I remember in business school hearing a stat that women will only apply to a job if they think that they meet, call it 9 of the 10 criteria that the job outlined. And men will apply if they meet 6. And so I think just betting on yourself, betting on what you do have to offer, and being able to confidently articulate what value you do bring to a job or an opportunity is incredibly important for women, especially.
Is there any way that our audience can help you?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I am a growth stage SaaS investor. So if you have any growth stage SaaS companies that you founded or you think are interesting, I'm open on Twitter at MCA D'Onofrio or at Bessemer at mdonofrio@bvp.com.
Excellent. Now, last question, of course, the most important one of all. If we had to identify your shoe style as your personality, would you be a boots, stilettos, sneakers, flats, flip-flops, or something else kind of gal?
Stilettos for sure.
Excellent. Well, with that, thank you so much, Mary D'Onofrio, Vice President of Bessemer Ventures. We wish you tremendous continued success investing in all of those wonderful SaaS tech companies. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you.
How about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?